So welcome to today's expert discussion all around the EU directive NIS2. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we aim to shed some light on NIS2, what it really means, and what measures affected industries can take to mitigate the risk of non-compliance. It's my great pleasure to introduce today's panelists. We have Flo Hobbs, a technical consultant who works for the ServiceNow Practice within Eviden, and who's been working on the development of an app to assist companies with the new NIS2 regulations. We have Tom Turco, who is a Director of Solution Consulting at ServiceNow that supports the service provider route to market globally for ServiceNow's largest partners, including Eviden, and Paul Visser, an internal and information system auditor and consulting domain lead for cyber strategy and transformation, and he's supporting several international organizations delivering service under NIS2 or DORA. He's a member of the Atos expert community and the Global Consulting NIS2 focus group. Thanks for taking the time today, all. So let's dive straight in. So question one, to Paul to start, can you give us some context around NIS2, the impact and the challenges of compliance?
Thank you, Paula, for the question. Yes, of course. I think it's important to understand that the impact of the NIS2 is major. Because it's not only related to European organization, but it will have an impact on close to 160 to 180,000 organizations worldwide. As an organization, you will be impacted when you are delivering services under NIS2 within the EU, or even when you're sharing IT infrastructure with a part of your organization that is delivering services within the EU. For instance, we are supporting a Japanese company in car manufacturing that has factories within the EU. However, some parts directly come from Japan, and thus the NIS2 regulation applies also to the Japanese organization. I also have an EU-based company that has a factory in Canada that is supplying only services in Canada, but is still using the same global IT infrastructure in their organization as the EU locations. And for that reason, it is also in scope of the IT security measures as well. Keep in mind that when they are sharing the IT, then the attack surface is also part of the risk that you have to mitigate. And of course, there is a major difference in a company that is already working in a regulated environment and already has an information security management system compared to a company that is new to the NIS2 regulation and that does not have this management system. The directive is quite clear on that. So there are at least two articles within the directive that are applicable for any organization, entity that is part of the NIS2 directive. So there's Article 20 and Article 21. Article 20 is important because it states the requirement to have a governance on your cybersecurity in your organization and risk management that is formally mandated by your management body. So it is not a governance that is within your IT department, it is within your management board. So that pushes it up straight to the business management where it belongs. And then Article 21, it contains 10 measures. And my impression of these 10 measures is that at least the risk management measures, the business continuity management measure and the supply chain measures. And then, of course, the incident reporting itself are the most important measures that you have to comply with. And the reason for this definition of the key measures is that for many organizations, the NIS2 is a big difference compared to what they had previously, because now also the OT environment and your industrial systems become part of the risk assessments, of the continuity measures, and a lot of organizations are lagging behind in the maturity in their OT organization.
Thanks, Paul. So can you explain the penalties for non-compliance with NIS2?
Yes, so it's a difference whether you're an essential company or whether you are an important company, and you can address that, of course, within the specific countries. If you're an important company, it is 7 million euro, or at least 1.4% of your global turnover. And if you're an essential company, it is 10 million or at least 2% of your global turnover. And so it is important to understand that the competent authority that will give you the fine will also very likely interfere with your company as well. They will perform audits. They will require you to take specific measures, or they will have an influence on your market in the specific country, and that will come as a cost as well.
Yeah. So the implications for NIS2 of small and medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs.
Yes. There we see something very specific for the NIS2. Compared to, for instance, the GDPR, which is a law by the European Union and the same for every country. Here we see that there is a transposition of the directive into country laws. So unlike the GDPR, it can be different for the different countries that you are servicing. As an example, in Belgium, you have a transposition into cybersecurity fundamentals. You can look it up in the country with three different maturity levels, where the small and medium entities can select the appropriate maturity and then base their measures upon this framework that they supply. My expectation is that the cyber matured entities will need something like an additional 5 to 15% extra IT budget on their current budget in order to become compliant. And for organizations that do not have an information security management system or are in the first levels of maturity, can estimate something like between 15 and 30% on top of their current ICT budget. So that is a big, significant increase in the investment that they have to take. The implications may also vary on the different countries that you are servicing, because we also see that the timeline in the different countries and the maturity of the transposition in the different countries is also varying among the EU member states.
How does NIS2 enhance the overall cybersecurity posture of critical service providers?
Because compared to the NIS2 now includes also the digital infrastructure and ICT service providers itself, including the cloud computing service provider. So what we see is that ICT service providers, and we are among those providers, we are adjusting and improving and linking our portfolio to also show that we are compliant ourselves, but also to prove the compliancy to the competent authorities and provide that as services to the market. So the responsibility in the value chain is also partly new for us. It has increased our attention to the suppliers and the overall assurance that we provide towards cyber and also the continuation of our services to the market.
So NIS2 compliance really needs to be approached now. What steps should businesses be taking to ensure compliance with NIS2?
Yes, well, if an entity did not start yet, then they're already late. Because it takes time to be compliant to the measures required. And I think that the steps that they can take there are both top-down as well as bottom-up. From a top-down perspective, you need to have a governance on the cybersecurity in your organization, as I just explained. So what you start with is doing a risk assessment. And a part of this risk assessment is a market assessment, because you need to understand in which EU country you are providing services, but you also need to understand what your market share is. Because in essence, the NIS2 directive is to reduce the impact on the markets in the EU. So if you have a very small market share, then you are not possible to create any market disturbance in that country. So then you should not prioritize on that country. Also, the directive states that the measures that you take should be proportionally and cost effective. So if you have a low market share, then you should take the appropriate amount of measures and also reduce the effort there. And you should prioritize on the countries where you have a large market share. That is the top-down approach, but you can also have a bottom-up approach. Because if you look at the mitigation measures, especially on the IT part, then you can at least make sure that you know the assets that you have in your organization, including all the assets on the OT part, and then make sure that you have some cyber hygiene implemented. Because that is what you will at least have to do in order to be compliant. Also, you have to step up with your incident management process, because there are timelines for the incident reporting, and there are also timelines for the security assessment on any incident that you have. So you have to have standards for that and make sure that you are able to comply to that. Last part is that for the NIS2 directive, if you have a major incident in your organization that impacts all your organization, then you have to provide the incident report in all of the countries that you are supplying services, and maybe also in the local language. You have to be able to do that. So a lot of work to get the cyber hygiene in order.
Yeah, so to help companies tackle this kind of very scary sounding directive, we've created our Secure Horizon app, in which we've bedded solutions to some of the problems and the tasks that Paul just mentioned. The app will assist companies in becoming compliant in all EU countries that they work in. One of the ways that it will do this is by mapping existing frameworks that companies already use to be compliant with existing standards, such as ISO standards, and map that to the new NIS2 directive. The app even will make it easier to manage and monitor companies' compliancy level with configurable personalized dashboards. So not only will it help you get compliant, but it will also help you stay compliant.
Brilliant, thank you for that. So that said, how does the Eviden solution, which built on ServiceNow, ensure compliance with the NIS2 directive's enhanced security requirements? Maybe Flo or Tom can help here.
Yeah, so we've chosen ServiceNow because we here at Eviden are an elite partner of ServiceNow. And we've always found that ServiceNow is great because it's super flexible. It provides a platform that's easy for users to interact with, but it also integrates really easily with other technologies. So if customers already have an existing system monitoring security incidents, then this can easily be integrated into the system. It's a platform that's known for its workflows, and we've kind of transformed the process of becoming compliant with NIS2 into one massive workflow and put that into ServiceNow as a kind of use ServiceNow as a foundation, and then used lots of extra stuff on top, including comprehensive reporting.
Building off of what Flo said, ServiceNow helps organizations streamline and manage various workflows, improve efficiency, integrate legacy systems and point solutions, and reduce manual tasks across departments. GRC is a simpler, smarter, and integrated way to manage risk and build resilience across the enterprise. It's built on the modern ServiceNow platform, and our integrated risk portfolio of products enables Eviden to consolidate all your risk and compliance needs. We can extract insights more easily from operational data, gain greater visibility into at-risk critical assets, application, vendors, and processes across the enterprise. With this common trusted data source, you can effectively communicate across all levels of your organization, from the front line to the boardroom.
Thanks both. So we all know it should be easy, but in reality, compliance is fraught with potential pitfalls. So how will this solution make life easier?
Well, thank you. The NIS2 solution will support creating a single dashboard and overview of your NIS2 compliance in your organization, showing the compliance per country, but also per topic and mitigation measure that you have. It also will link it to your GRC or information risk management tooling with the API structure it has. So that definitely helps. What it also helps is that it can help you show the compliance both to your competent authority as well as to your management. And keep in mind that the ServiceNow already has a lot of the data sets that you need in order to show compliance. So it makes sense to use this platform to create the dashboard. And definitely the automation will also help you in repeating the same setup you have for any new EU country that you have to comply with because you're serving as a new part of your business, or any new organization that you create in your ecosystem, whether it's part of your merger and acquisition program or whether it's part of your supplier program. And finally, the ServiceNow is a platform with their API structure that will secure also your compliance investments over time.
Great. So what role do national authorities play in the enforcement of NIS2? Should we throw that one open to you all?
What we see so far, because the countries are not all ready yet. So some of the countries have created their transposed laws and regulation and presented that to their specific countries. Other ones are not yet ready. My own country is not yet ready. So the countries have a role in the incident reporting and in the risk assessment, because they can require different details in the incident reporting and in the reports that you have to provide when you have a large incident. Also, the countries and every country can create both competent authorities for different markets and CSIRTs for different markets will have to coordinate any incident that is cross-country. So they have a specific role in there. What we see is that countries are focusing first on the essential entities, which is of course logical because they will create the biggest market disturbance, and they are creating also the capacity and the capability within their competent authorities to cover the whole market. So my expectation is that it will take some time if you are a small, medium-sized entity, that you will come into play for these competent authorities.
I guess at the end of the day, we don't actually know 100% what the authorities are going to tell us, that what regulations we're going to need. So we've configured the app to be able to be flexibly adjusted. We've set it up knowing that we don't really know specific details. And then as soon as the regulations are released for each country, they'll contribute to the specific way that the app's set up for each company that works within that country. It's likely that as NIS2 develops, as you said, Paul, smaller companies are going to be affected slightly differently. So, we'll just have to update the app, and Eviden consultants can help companies to stay on top of that as well. We've got different layers within the app, so specifications that affect all companies within every country, such as the notification of an incident. That's already in there. We already know that that's got to happen. But yeah, much more specific stuff is going to have to be changed close to the time. So yeah, we're just tailoring the app, which is one of the the benefits of ServiceNow, is that it can be tailored very easily.
Indeed, Florence, and I especially like the fact that the app helps you in the automation, because we need the automation if you have a EU or a global reach, in order to present the information from a cybersecurity incident to the different countries. It also helps the risk assessment, because the information that is required to be delivered might change, maybe different in the different countries. but the source of the information is in one place. And in that way, automation is key in getting compliant and making sure that we can meet the timelines for the incident reporting and the comprehensive risk assessment that you will have to undertake.
So tell me, in your experience, what are you seeing as the common challenges companies face when implementing NIS2, and how does Eviden address them? Who'd like to go first?
I do have some experience at the moment, so just let me go first. My experience is that Ethos and Eviden as a company, we have always been servicing clients that are regulated. So we were the first in the IT provider in Europe to become certified for information security management system, which was the UK BS 7799 at that time. We were also the first EU IT company that created binding corporate rules submitted to a competent authority for the GDPR. So we also like to be on the front part in providing best practices to the market. And as a European company who is delivering services in all verticals, we do find the best practices. For instance, in Germany, where we are providing a lot of services to the car manufacturing, we have a lot of experience in creating the best practices for this specific vertical. And so I think that we are in a good position to help small and medium entities that are providing service to more than one European country.
We all know that regulations are rarely simple. In fact, they're some of the most complex things that our customers have to deal with. The goal of this solution is to simplify the compliance, visibility, and resolution against the NIS2 pillars. Eviden's solution makes it easy by having a single workspace that gives customers the visibility of their assets and IT infrastructure, and it gathers evidence they need to be compliant with NIS2. By utilizing ServiceNow's GRC capabilities like policy and compliance, risk and audit management, and combining that against the largest library of regulatory content available today, Eviden's solution generates an instant gap overlap analysis between NIS2 and the regulations customers already comply with. This drastically reduces audit requirements and the management effort required for GRC.
I understand that Eviden contributes to shaping industry best practices for NIS2. Is that correct?
Yes, and what we also see is that we are adapting also our services to help organizations become more compliant to both the NIS2 as well as, for instance, DORA. And I think a good example is the digital forensic and incident response service that we are providing. That is typically a service that will allow organizations to have a 24/7 incident response. And also can take over some of the capabilities that you have to address an incident, both in the determining the impact of an incident, determining what causes an incident, and in general helps you to get more resilient on an IT perspective, but then in the end also on a business perspective. So you see that we are providing services, and we can also map the services that we have on the NIS2 directive.
Yeah, that's right. So that's why we've created our app to be tailored to the specific industry that the company works within. As Paul says, certain industries or countries may be more mature in their security frameworks, and other areas may need more support to follow best practices. So we can provide that support.
So my final question to each of you, what's the future support for NIS2 compliance look like?
Yeah, sure. Well, the NIS2 is, of course, to prevent or limit the market disturbance. So what I see in the future is that the threats that we are facing from our adversaries, that they are becoming more automated. They are using artificial intelligence and machine learning in their attack patterns. So as a security industry, we have to do the same. So what we see in our security solutions, like for instance, our ISAC platform with our managed detection and response capabilities, that we become more and more automated. We're also using AI and machine learning, and instead of rule-based, we're becoming much more able to do behavioral control and also prevent threats that we are not yet aware of. So we are investing heavily in response and recovery. And we also see that the average time that we need for major incidents is getting shorter. I think with the number of attacks still increasing, and we have to improve our products in the market. So I think the global experts community that we have that is gathering and reflecting and reporting on expected changes in the threat landscape is helping us here. So the regulatory landscape and the technology landscape is addressed in, for instance, the Ethos Group Future Vision Report, the Journey 2026, the industry trend reports that we provide for the specific verticals, but also in the Eviden Tech Radar, where we address the future expectation on all the technology that we have in the ecosystem. My expectation is that NIS2 and the integration in ServiceNow will also continue to develop insights and experience. And at one point in time, we'll also address DORA or SIR or any other regulation that is expanding these requirements. And we'll also continue to develop also artificial intelligence and machine learning opportunities to further automate the response that we have.
So as we wrap up today's session on NIS2 compliance, it's crucial to remember that staying ahead in cybersecurity is not just about meeting regulations, but it's about safeguarding our digital future. To help you assess your level of NIS2 readiness, we invite you to head over to our website and run through our free online assessment, and our NIS2 specialist team will get back to you. They'll provide you with valuable insights into your current compliance status and highlight areas for improvement. And it just remains for me to say a huge thank you to our presenters for your invaluable insights today. It's been an absolute pleasure to host you all. Thank you.